obviously Muirkirk's a big blackie area.
Yeah, good area.
Successful blackie area,
Yeah.
you would say. But John reckoned you were the first to be successful. Does that sound about right?
Well, we were at it a good bit earlier than the rest of the boys in Muirkirk. Like 3 boys and 3 girls. Like was the police was here, and I'm standing here with my wife right. So the only thing I could say about that was a really cold night, and I didn't really see very much.
Didn't do you justice?
Nowadays boys are really able at what they do. I've got the other end of my life. I say they're coming for it and I'm maybe going the other way. Like, I'm quite happy. I've been happy with what I've done. Like, I've really enjoyed it. But I take a lot of spirit out of these boys. Just watching how they're doing and how they're doing it and how nice they are.
I've been Cammy.
I've been Iona.
And we are both
Fed by Farmers.
Hello and welcome to the Fed by Farmers podcast with me, Cammy Wilson.
And me, Iona Murray.
This week is a special week. We have another person from Muirkirk, Andy Woodburn. What a legend.
Yeah,
He is the legend of Muirkirk. Like, this is going to get a big response.
I was laughing so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny.
I'll be honest, I wasn't sure he'd let us keep a lot of it in. But shout out to Andy and to Mary as well. Mary is sitting in the background here. Mary is Andy's wife. She's sitting in the background here just a lot of times.
It's so funny.
Shaking her head.
It's so funny.
Head in her hands like, oh no, don't tell that story. He's got a few absolute belters. We're going to hear about him chasing folk in his Y fronts. A bit of a disaster that happened after a couple of beers at the pub. There's a few things and good stories as well about breeding fantastic stock.
Absolutely.
And how he grew up and all that. And a very poignant message about mental health as well.
Yep.
So, will we thank our sponsors and then get into it?
Yes.
You do it, you're good at it.
Okay. Cammy, thank you.
Stop it. I'll do it. Thanks very much to our sponsors, Crystalyx and to Tracesure, Animax. One compliment and it goes to your head. I have been, as I've been saying, we've been flat out bollicing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should have said last week, I was talking about being flat out bollicing. The great thing is the size.
Of the bolus?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit smaller. Go down far easier. Yep.
Good.
That's what I'm saying about that.
That's good.
Anyway, let's hear from Andy. And we're here with Mr. Andy Woodburn of Netherwood Farm, Muirkirk. Andy, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for asking me.
Oh, listen, it's an honour for us to have you here. I think Andy will be our 4th Muirkirkian.
We're working our way
Wait,
through the parish.
You're doing well.
What you called if you're from Muirkirk? Is that right? No, nothing particular.
What's it called? The Mercurians?
Would you consider yourself Muirkirk? Yeah.
Aye, definitely.
Aye.
Yeah. All the years I've been in Muirkirk, I've been here. I haven't been anywhere else other than Netherwood.
Is that?
For the word go, I've never been anywhere else. And I like Muirkirk. I'm really passionate about it actually. But there are some things that kicks into you when you're at home like that. And one of the things to me is the worst bits is folk stealing off me, cause me a bit of bother,
Aye.
and folk dumping rubbish. It's my pet hate. I really hate that. I try to keep the place as tidy as we can, but it doesn't always work, don't get me wrong.
So you get a few folk pinching for the tune?
I fall over. I've had them for Irvine. I had them all over, like. But it get that bad, I had to put a security system in.
Right.
And I don't know if I should start away with this wee story or no, like.
Go
for it.
But anyway, put this security system in, and we went into the sheds where my bikes and stuff was, like. And the first time it happened, well, if they break the beam getting into the shed, it rings into my landing in my bed next to my bedroom. And we got it set up, and a wee while went by, and all of a sudden the alarm went off, and it wakes you up straight away. Well, anyway, I was in that big a hurry to get out. So maybe shouldn't have started this there, but I got in that big a hurry to get out. I sleep in my Y front, so I down the stair, I put my Wellingtons on, I jumped into the pickup, and here the guys was around, I'm going to steal my wee Polaris Ranger. And they stole 2 gates off my field to run it into this lorry, run it up their gates into this lorry.
Aye.
But when they seen me coming, they turned off. And when they over the bridge just in Netherwood, They were going that fast, the two gates shut at the back of the lorry, like. So anyway, I followed them down the road, and he looked at a wee side road, and it said road was closed. So anyway, Mary must have phoned the police at the time. And anyway, how they managed to find me, I don't know, because it said the road was closed. But when I got to the guy, this bridge was something, a new bridge at it. And they done a runner on him, it was pitch black, like. And he must have run into this wood and left this lorry, like. Well, maybe about a quarter of an hour after that, the police landed. 3 cars, 3 boys and 3 girls, like. It was the police was there. And I'm standing here on my Y-front going. The only thing I could say about that was a really cold night, and I didn't really see very much.
Didn't do you justice?
But anyway, that went past, and what transpired is that they found out that the lorry had come from Irvine.
Right.
But I never heard any more about that. Was it bye-bye, like.
And had they got the Polaris? No, they ran before the Polaris was on.
They didn't take
You'd
Polaris,
gone out.
that Polaris didn't get hit, like.
Aye, okay. So
When it started to begin with, before I had the security system in, there's guys come out and they stole a jet ski and a bike. First night, never seen Hunter or hear them again. Next time, 2 months further on, two bikes went. Never found them either. Don't get me wrong, the insurance kept me with the bikes all right, because they were all insured. But I didn't get any from my jet ski.
no, NFU maybe doesn't cover jet skis.
No, well, they didn't cover this, you know.
It is wet in Muirkirk. A jet ski. Like this lambing time, a lot of us are needing a jet ski.
Oh, that'll be right. It's really, really murder, like. But anyway, this alarm went off again. And the boy that stayed in the cottage, a Czech Republic fella, a really well-made fella, he got out before me. The alarm went off first. Well, both of us ran off, but he got out first. This time I put my clothes on. Like,
Aye.
Held
it's
you
a
up.
wee
Learn
while
the lesson.
longer. Phones the police. And that time he come, I put the gun by, and he put his chain by. So anyway, and the policeman said, when you go to the house, he said, we'll manage for here. And there were 3 fellas there. But anyway, after they got a hold of them, like, the police guys comes into the house and says, do I we can do any way here, boys? He said, they hadn't stolen it. This was at 2:30 in the morning. And, so that doesn't sound right. I said, do you think what I've lost this last wee while and you can't do anything with them? Well, so I can't do it. He said, by the way, he says, was you with a gun? I says, you're bloody right, I was you with a gun. You didn't expect me to go there at 2:30 in the morning with no protection at my age. And he says, well, you hadn't to do that. So anyway, after that, there was all left at that, get your away. But anyway, I don't know what he charged them with, but he charged them, and we'd end up, the big Thomas, the guy who was in the cottage, and myself, had to go to the court. And that was a waste of time, that was it, like. The first day, 2 days we went, got to back at 12, no, it wasn't even 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock. When you go and get home, he said, no, we need it today. That's the first 2 days. Well, the next day we went, we got to lunchtime, and there's a £5, we went by us a fish supper or something to eat, like. So I went back and I got to 3 o'clock. And I said to Thomas, who was with us, I says, Thomas, time need to get home, like. So I went to the desk. I says, I'll let you go for you. And I said, I can't stay here any longer. Oh no, he says, you can't go. I said, no, you're not listening to me. I'm going. So I started walking out the door. He said, wait a minute. Wait till I go up to the courtroom free to see what's happened. And he came back down the stairs. He says, you can go. He says, pleaded guilty to a lesser charge, and that was it all by.
There you go.
So you didn't even have to go.
I didn't deal with it.
This must be a few years ago if you could get a fish supper for a £5.
Well, that's it. I just didn't
This back in the 80s.
What's a few good on? It was as far as that.
Those are the days, I tell you.
I just walked the fish. If I could just afford the supper.
Aye, 2 fritters. Gonna get a fish supper that night, man. Unbelievable the price of them.
Oh, I get them dearly.
But interestingly, when you're saying about the police was saying to you there about, don't know what to charge them with. There is a crime that's it's been a few years since I was in the job, but I want to say it's like a section 47 of the Civic Government Scotland Act.
Right.
And it's basically if you're in the curtilage of a building where it could be inferred that you're there for the purposes of theft, then they charge you. So it's basically you're there to steal something. So it's like somebody lurking about your garden.
Yeah.
Or at 2 in the morning. Yeah. There's no other reason for them to be there
Yeah.
other than they're looking to steal something.
Well,
So you can charge them for that. So we used to, like when I used to work in the city centre, you would charge folk with that kind of stuff all the time if they were
yeah.
in bits they shouldn't be, or up, they'd snuck in a fire door or something.
Yeah.
You would charge them with that because they haven't broke into the place
Yeah.
because it's been left open,
Right.
but they're there trying to pinch
Yeah.
something.
Aye. It's clear they're not there for.
Aye, it's like somebody walks into your open shed, you can't charge them with breaking in because the shed's open, but you can charge them with being in there.
I've been broke
Aye.
into.
Looking to steal.
Aye, that
Looking
right.
to steal, so
Yeah.
that's
Well,
probably
just-
way to get charged with.
Well, just previous to that, maybe a couple of months further back, with a hot and cold pressure washer, good pressure washer, and somebody came in and stole it.
My God.
The pressure washer away, and this guy was in with a van, a transit van with one of the hydraulic rams at the back for lifting stuff into it, like.
Aye.
But we caught him quick enough because the alarm went off quick enough so that we could to.
And have you had anything lost since your new alarm system?
Well, I tell you, after that and that, I'm moving another thing I shouldn't be saying, but I'm going to tell you. Ever since that and that gone out, I says, I'm never doing it ever near the farm again.
Is that right?
Never.
So
When
they
it was
must have
Really?
spread the
they
word.
must
that-
have word about and said, don't get near that. Not that guy's off his head. Like.
Aye. I mean, like, aye, absolutely. I mean, the first thing to do, like, as you're saying, what age are you now, Andy?
75.
75. Ken, I don't think the bell rang me as soon as the alarm goes off, just open the upstairs window and fire a shot out just before you head out.
Aye.
Just to set the standard of what's
Of
about
what's
to happen.
aye, what's about
Because I
to go
guarantee you, they're out of there. Like, you might not even need to get don't even need to get dressed next time. Just put the window down, bang, and go back to your bed. I can guarantee they're away.
Well, a young fella worked with us for a wee while, like, and he was staying down, he wasn't staying, he was visiting the guy who was in the cottage I was talking about earlier on. And here one night the alarm went off, but he held too tight to one of the sheds,
Okay.
and the alarm went off. Well, when I went around the corner, this security light came on, like, but when I got to where the cottage was, it was pitch black. And I just thought to myself, just exactly what you're saying. I don't know who's here, but they're going to know I'm here.
Aye.
So I did it, boof, up in the air. Well, the boy came in the next morning, shaking in an office state, like, and I was telling him the story. Well, you shouldn't have been as near as that. He says, I'll never do that again. He says,
He's talking to this madman at Netherwood. But hey, you're not.
but I know it's another thing here to do, but it definitely worked for me.
Hey, you've got to keep yourself safe, and
Yeah.
you're not at risk. A shot up in the air is no risk in empty. And another interesting thing, another wee anecdote for farmers watching is, like, if the problem you find quite often is that bad guys get away with stuff because they're dishonest and they never tell the truth. And what you find is good people end up getting charged with things
Well,
because they think the right thing to do is tell the police the truth.
right.
But Ken, if the police ever ask you again, did you go out there with a gun? Say, no, that guy's off his head, man. He's just trying to get off it. A gun? No, I wouldn't take a gun out there. You just say no.
Well, I'll tell you.
Right, is this really official advice we should be giving?
But it's because if you say yes, you put yourself in a position where, like, if that guy says he threatened me with a gun, you've admitted to going out with a gun. That's
Yeah.
2 pieces of evidence. You're now getting charged.
Yeah.
Whereas if you say no, he's talking nonsense.
Well,
It's 1v1. He says you did. You say you didn't.
Yeah.
Who are you going to believe, the thief or the farmer?
Yeah.
You should believe the thief, obviously, but
I'll tell you another wee in, like, and you can cut this out if you like, but it's God's honest truth. Son Andy had a party one night, and I was just getting near the lambing. It was the 3rd of April. I was just getting near the lambing, like, I says, we'll come along to the party. About 50 folk at it. So my mum and I will come along into the party at about 12:30, and then we'll go back. I'll look after the sheep. The next day was a Sunday. So anyway, after that morning when I got up, I went and seen the sheep along the road. Well, it was like a party. There was cans, bottles, everything lying about. And I thought, my wisdom, I said, I'll tidy that up a wee bit. So I've a wee Polaris Ranger and a wee trailer behind it, like. So anyway, goes along, come back to the farm, and there's other cans and bottles and stuff. And I lifted it onto the wee trailer and all, waiting. I made for Muirkirk. So I was up to Muirkirk. And I'm throwing all this stuff into their cans and bottles and getting everything. I thought I'd done a great job. And here, fortunately or unfortunately, there's an old boy that comes up, a man older than me, like, they say to me, it was a great day. It was a day like this today. And he says, come on in, Andy, and have a pint before you get down the road. Jumps on, I drops him off at the pub door, then I goes to park my wee Polaris Ranger. But I shoot my own moles. And I had a single barrel shotgun with me. I had to stack it back of my seat. And I thought to myself, I must admit, hindsight's a great thing. But it didn't really work with me right enough. Anyway, she really said, no, I'm not coming in. When the guy asked me and I didn't want to. So anyway, I turned the gun where it was and I put it in the back of the Polaris and I covered it with a sheet and some pails on the top of it. So that'll be fine. So I goes way out of the pub and I goes and I don't mind telling you, I had a great hour in there. I had no money, I had no nothing. Everybody wants to buy me a drink because I'm in news like. So anyway, not tell you how many pints. It was just pints I was ordering on the weens like. It was like 3 pints. Anyway, I come back out, somebody know nick my gun. Jesus Christ. So anyway, I thought in my wisdom, I says, I'll phone the boy, a local boy, a Muirkirk guy, he got my licence for the gun. So I phoned him up. Oh, Andy, I say, I can't help you, sir. He says, you'll have to phone the police and tell the police what happened. So I goes back, when I was at home, I phoned the police and tell them what happened. And the biggest mistake I made, just what you said, I told them the truth.
Aye. Mm-hmm.
As long as I live, I'll never do that again with them. Like.
No.
Because I broke my weans and my own kids and my grand weans to bring up, don't tell me a lie.
Aye.
You might get a bit of bother or swearing for it, but don't tell me a lie.
Aye.
And here I'm in here trying to defend myself after telling the truth.
Aye.
I said, this is not right.
No.
Anyway, the police landed out, 2 guys landed out. The first 5 minutes I swore I'd killed somebody.
Aye.
The treatment I got from like. He says, it's not me, she be looking for it. She be looking for the guy that nicked my gun. He says, no. He says, you left the gun unattended. And if I thought for you and me that somebody local especially was going to steal my gun, because I couldn't, no say the one Muirkirk, the most of Muirkirk, I would never been here. When I'm back home, tell me what happened. Cheers me. Only time ever I've been in the court.
Is that right?
But that was an experience in my life.
Aye.
When I went to the court, the old judge comes out with the specs, doing his usual, and he's looking at the tab and he read out the charge, like. And I was going to go myself, like. I wasn't needing a lawyer because I was guilty anyway. I knew that. And Carol, my oldest lassie, says, Dad, I'll go with you. No, you don't need to go, darling. I want to go with you. So she went with us and we got in and he read out the charge. And he says, what you got to say for yourself? I says, well, I'm guilty as it is. I just definitely what happened, like. I says, the only thing I can say is I really shouldn't have told anybody the truth. I should have done what everybody else says. Just giving you a wee white lie and I wouldn't have been in here today.
Yep.
After then he says, I'm going to fine you £600. But seeing you plead it guilty, I'll make it 400. And it was a tip of my tongue to say, if I pay it today when you make it 300. I didn't go there.
£300 for cash.
I thought I was pushing my luck a wee bit.
Some man. But it's so true, and we shouldn't be advocating it, but it is the case of, and you have done wrong there, you know you have it, which is why it's one of the daft things you shouldn't do, but in hindsight's a great bloody thing. But if you phone them and say, bike was sat at the farm yard, I've come out, I was out shooting moles, come out, somebody's been in the yard and lifted the gun.
Yeah.
But in the same result, they'd have been looking for a guy with a gun and you'd have been fine.
You they never found him.
I was going to say, did they find?
I never found the gun.
Reduce the risk of fly strike and livestock irritation at grass with Crystalyx garlics. Flies and midges are a constant pest to livestock throughout the summer and are responsible for diseases such as summer mastitis, pink eye, blue tongue and Schmallenberg. No repellent is 100% effective in the fight against airborne biting insects. However, Crystalyx garlics can play an important part in reducing the number of flies that land on livestock. Containing concentrated garlic extract, 5 times more potent than pure dried garlic, Crystalyx garlics offers a natural defense to biting insects, with the high sulfur compounds in garlic acting as a natural insect repellent. With a full complement of vitamins, minerals and trace elements, Crystalyx garlics balances the known deficiencies in forage while stimulating the rumen for enhanced animal performance. Make the switch this summer to research-proven Crystalyx garlics.
How long have you been at Netherwood in the family?
As I say, I've never been anywhere else, but the family came into Netherwood in 1928. I've seen about 100 years. My grandfather bought it late, and my dad wasn't married at the time, and a sister of my dad's went with him to look after the farm at that time. Then he got married. They were all Agnes was her name, like, and unfortunately, I lost my dad when I was young. I was only 11-year-old, and my brother Craig, he was 15. My younger sister, was only 7. And it was really a sore time. I can mind it as if it was yesterday. And that's a long while ago. But you know, it's amazing how time goes on and you can forget, you go over it. And I was really keen on Blackface Sheep. And we didn't do any showing at the time. But I had a shipper at that time, Bob Drive, and his wife Matty. And we couldn't ask for any better to stay at Netherwood. Like.
Did they step up when your dad passed away?
Well, he was as good as a dad to me, and it wasn't just to me. It was for like my brother Craig and my sister Molly. Like, he looked after us great and helped my mother as much as he could as well. He was a great guy. He wasn't a man for going on any holidays, what maybe we should have done, like, but he was keen of sheep. And at that time, we kind of started away, trying to go at some of the shows. And don't get me wrong, we weren't going that good to start with, but as time went on, we caught on to find what to do and what to look for, like, and it was a good bit of success for the showing side of it. But it's him that really encouraged me. But anyway, I must have been about 15 at the time, and Bob, he did all the clipping, the dressing the sheep, and he said, right, it's your turn. So with this you hog into clip, like, he said, the only advice I can give you, he says, leave plenty on. You can take it off, but you can't put it back on. And we turned it upside down, clipped its belly first, split it down through the middle, and don't take when you're cutting it with shears, don't cut along the sides, go down the hill so you don't leave any shear marks. Well, I get started this clip and I thought I was going on fine. Well, at that time, we washed the showings. And so next morning, Bob and I went to the show and started washing them, like, and didn't look that good when I washed it in, but it looked 100 times worse after it was dry. Some of the wool's about 6 inches and the other was about 2 inches. Like. But you know, that was a bit really I enjoyed after that. Trimming into the shape you really wanted it, like.
Aye.
And I really the way it. But I got better after that. The first time was, I'd say, was the worst. Like,
We've all got to learn that.
You think I'd clipped it with an axe when you see it? Like.
So dressing and with the show scene, and a few folk we had your father and John, who reckoned you were sort of the first, because obviously Muirkirk's a big blackie area,
good area, like.
Successful blackie area, you would say. But folk, John reckoned you were the first to be successful. Does that sound about right?
Well, we were at it a good bit earlier than the rest of the boys in Muirkirk. Like.
What were they doing? Messing about with cheviets and crossing cheviets and all sorts of nonsense.
The only thing I could say about that side of it, I got a lot of inspiration from Muirkirk boys, like Muirkirk farmers. And what I should mention, I know, but first now,
only if you're slagging them off. Don't say anything nice about them.
Well, if I was going to flag them off, I could do that to you, right enough. But I would say for the people who've got round about us in Muirkirk, and we're having the best farms in the area, like, Muirkirk's just a hull farm, but I take the Aldersburn boys, Hugh and Alan Blackwood, with your dad, with wee Sanny Blackwood, with the Dundalk boys for Upper Wellwood, and all the boys are really able at what they do. I've got the other end of my life. I say they're coming for it and I'm maybe going the other way, like. But I'm quite happy. I've been happy with what I've done, like. I've really enjoyed it. But I take a lot of spirit out of the boys there. Just watching how they're doing and how they're doing it and how nice they are. Maybe that's no slagging them off right enough.
No, you're allowed to say one nice thing about them.
If I date it on the way home, they'll maybe do me and shoot me, like.
Aye.
And you did, you got on really well with your show, though. Did you not win the Highland show?
Well, for a while we just did most of the local shows like Lars, Cat, and we got on really, really good at it, like, and then, fancy we go to the Highland, like. I only go to the Highland. But we managed to have been lucky enough to win it 3 times.
Is that with Blackies?
Oh, with Blackies, aye. Won it with an Old Top, won it with Gimmer, and then won it with an Old Yow, like. And Old Yow, my mother died, we called her Lady Agnes, because mother had died at that time, like.
That's pretty special, then.
Yeah,
it was at that time. Then with a Gimmer, she looked really smart. I showed it earlier on, one show out before the Highland, the 10th New Cumnock show. And she was as smart as I love to say it myself. She was really smart, eye-catching, like, and she happened to win the Blackies, and then she won and won the interbreed after that. But we never turned back out to the Highland. And she kept her nice and fresh, and that worked out great, like. Worked out great. why we can stop showing? We just goes to the other side of it. We just had Netherwood at that time, a bit of Green at Dyke, and we managed to extend a wee bit more of that. Just made my overdraft a bit bigger, like. But anyway, when the estate land come up, I said to Randy, I says, you'll only get one chance of this. We either go for it or we don't go for it. So we went and bought it, like. And after we bought it, what we were going to do with it, we put on a keeper or we put a shepherd on it. So I thought we'd enough, kind of Steve was there and Randy was there, and I was quite keen at that time. So we tried the keeping job, and that was completely different. Anyway, I got to the stage that I really enjoyed it. It took a lot to get it set up, get it going. But the sixth year we had it, the dear Lord thought we shouldn't be doing it, and blew some trees on the top of two of the rearing pens. And son Andy said, that's enough, we'll stop at that, we're not going to do any more.
So what were you reading then, Andy?
Rearing pheasants in Parridge.
Right, okay.
And doing paid shoots.
And paid shoot, yeah.
Right,
Those
okay.
would come in, and I must admit I enjoyed that. But it come night time, there were some really nice fellas coming out there, these shoots like, and I'm sure that a lot of them said they missed it. But it just didn't that much to get it all going again, like. So we decided to stop it. I'll talk about Blackface Sheep. Well, my son said to me, he says, his next door neighbour was David Cooper.
Aye, Davey's been on the podcast.
And Davey and Randy goes on well, and he was raving on about their Herwick sheep, and he says to me one day, he says, I fancy some Herwick sheep on Sig Home. This is about the farthest away bit in the state land. And I wasn't really on it to start with. And but anyway, they went and they bought 200 Herwick ewes, Cockermouth. So when I landed home with them, and I still don't like them. But I still don't like them to look at, but they're amazing. They're amazing sheep. And then so we had them we put top suit them to begin with on the hill, and they come in, and out they 200 ewes, there was 189 lambs marked out them.
Aye.
And I'm not saying we didn't get near them, we hardly get near them.
Aye.
Well, we'll go out the bandwagon right enough and started bringing them in and flushing them, and they're unbelievable. I shouldn't be talking about this when I'm a blackface man, but I'm just telling you what the way it is. The Herwick ewes go to 5-year-old now, some of them, more than that of them, and bring them along to Randy's hill and fire them on there and hit them with bell takes up. Well, last year we had 187 and 184% of ewes and lamb.
What, they scanned at 184%?
Aye.
The Herdwicks?
The Herwicks, aye.
Right.
And see when they're born, they're onto their feet in a flash. And well, it's about my age, it's a problem, like. It's easy if we don't get them when they're wet.
Aye.
Certainly I can't catch them when they're dry, like.
Aye.
So it's pretty due to my fault, like.
Aye.
But they're hardy sheep, and we'll hang them up. The ones that's in the state, well, they're all Herwick lambs, pure Herwick lambs. And then they're organic. And we hang them all up in the abattoir at Bridge of Allen, and amazing as well.
And where do you sell that to? Like, do you have a contract for organic lamb?
No. It's ABP's got it now.
Right, okay.
And they don't know the market now, like, and it can be £1 to £1.50 a kilo more for them as conventional, like.
Jeez.
And we're sent the lambs away to an organic place. There wasn't that money on at the time. But they did a great job with them. Some of the lambs was over 50 kilos when we hung them up, like. They're amazing. They're longer, like. Maybe the shape of them's not the best, but they're lovely to eat with the weight and a weather lamb. And I tell you, a wee bit more fat cover on it, but really nice to eat.
We've had them before. Was it at stock judging or something? It was your burgers. Was that right? Yeah.
Aye, that would come right.
Yeah,
It was lamb and beef burgers at stock judging, like. Aye. I didn't kill anybody.
I know, they'll live to tell the tale. So, just in some numbers then, Andy, you're naming a few bits there, obviously people listening that don't know you. How many actual acres do you own and are you running?
Well, there's 4,500 acre altogether, like.
Right.
We've got Green at Dyke, bit of Green at Dyke, Netherwood's home farm, piece of burn foot, then we bought the estate ground, and there was 2,500 acre in it. But there was 2 buildings. Lindburn was the main farm. We worked with bulls, and we bring the bulls out up there, and in a bit called Middlefield, and we renovated it. their outbuildings on that, or renovating their people on that. I think that's a great thing to do. But really, what help do you get if you renovate a place and get it going, like, and then what you draw into it, what the government wants back off you. If you make money on it, they want to tax you on it. In my opinion, we're far too much tax. Not just the farming, everything else. It doesn't matter what you go and buy, license your motor or whatever you do, everything's tax on it. And I think it's a roast of that for a lot of folk. And to me, inheritance tax is a wreck burden as far as I'm concerned.
But inheritance tax, unless I'm in the camp of I'm pro taxing the rich. I'm kind of like I'm pro stamp duty and these things. I'm actually for it, but I'm not so much pro inheritance. I'm not pro inheritance tax on businesses because I'm pro inheritance tax. If you've got £1 million cash in the bank, then fine. Take like a bit of inheritance tax on it's fine. But if you've got a business, like you crush these businesses. And am I right in saying though, farming at the moment there is no inheritance tax on the farm?
It's exempt at the moment, aye.
But Labour are now saying,
well,
but I'm thinking that's just England and Wales because I think
Right,
Scottish
okay.
government might protect us from that. But there's talk of that, and that's terrifying because that will just kill.
Well, I'll tell you,
That'll just destroy farms.
what does a farmer do? A farmer works. I've worked there all my days, and I've a son coming on, and if I'm going to pass that over to him, the overdraft will go against it, right? And that'll keep the wasted right. But anyway, you bring your son on there to continue on with that business, like where if you've got capital against to pay on that sets him back again.
Yeah.
There's more money onto his overdraft to get him going again. He really should be firing on to improve everything.
Yeah.
I think improvements are one of the best things.
Yeah.
But you need money to make it to improve a lot, like.
Well, there's a great thing just now, a great slogan that farmers can't be green if they're in the red. So it's all about, farmers being greener and better for the environment, but farmers can't get green if they're in the red.
Yeah.
If they're not making money, they can't be
They
efficient.
push on and be,
they can't put that new shed in or buy that new piece of equipment or make things more streamlined if they're just struggling to get by.
That's right.
And setting a business back every time there's a death or a
that's
handover.
so true.
Like, it just keeps... But the same token, maybe, does it help keep the family farm going that businesses, there's always that worry if businesses are getting too big and strong all the time, they just keep swallowing up the wee ones round about, and before we know it, it's all just big operations rather than the small family farm. I know you're saying 4,500 acres, but you're still a family farm.
Yeah.
It's big acreage, but there's a lot of that will be rough hill.
Well, I'm
it's not 4,500 a dairy ground. A lot of good ground, but it's not. It's Muirkirk, like you
That's
said.
Muirkirk, aye.
Yeah.
No, it used to grow green, oats in some of the farms in Muirkirk. Aye, one time, aye. But none of that now. It's all silage for feeding the cattle inside.
Yeah.
But don't grow any grain or turnips or anything like that, like.
How many actual sheep you run? I suppose that'd be good to hear
Well,
the
about
numbers.
2,000 altogether, couldn't you young stock as well, like.
Yeah.
And what about your cows?
Well, the cows are another. It used to be my brother and I was together up to 1988,
Right.
and brother Craig and I split up just because families was coming on as well, 2 or 3 different reasons. Like, but anyway, he got his farm and I got mine, and at that time, to me, stress causes a lot of things, and red tape's the worst thing in them all. We used to go 150 calves between the 2 farms. That's before we had the estate, and it was Hereford calves, and all we done was put a wee white tag in the rear with the herd number and the ear, and went to that market. Craig Mann calves, that's the name of my brother's farm, Craig Mann. Craig Mann and Netherwood calves would go together into the market, and we'd draw the calves in the market into the lots, where they have to go. And the 1 year we had 40 heifer calves in the ring at one time and 36 bullocks. It was the simplest thing in Godsworth. There were no paperwork, no passports or nothing like. Yet all the cattle got away and get finished in good farms and come out. And it must be all about that foot and mouth job. I think it was a foot and mouth when you come back again. But we do a lot of work you don't get paid for, like,
Aye, well, this paperwork with
Yeah.
passports.
Paperwork
and-
running
aye.
about looking. They know more about sheep and cattle today than they know about the folk in the country.
You're probably easy to track down a beast. You're probably right in that. I can't argue that one. I can't argue that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but foot and mouth will be a big factor of it, is
I'm sure it would
knowing
be
where
that.
everything is for disease and stuff. And then if we flip it the other way a little bit, you look at this blue tongue just now,
Yeah.
like if we didn't have the pass, and I know they're a nuisance, but if we didn't have those passports, if there's cattle moving out of those areas to other parts of the country, that lets you follow that beast up and test it and say,
Yeah.
you know, shut this down right now.
Aye.
There is pros to it. There's a lot of cons, but
Yeah,
there is
but-
pros to it. And I understand why it's a bloody...
I agree with that. Like,
You're in the unfortunate scenario that you can remember the glory days. For me, it's just always
That's
been
what I
that
was
way.
going to say. That's what I was
It's
going to
like-
say. It's
Right.
the in-betweeny.
Well, it's like people, and we'll talk about wool, but it's like people going on about when wool used to pay the farm rent and all that. To me, it's always been worth very little to me.
mad dream.
So I don't
Yeah.
I don't think about it that way. I don't have that negative thing. I'm just thinking, shearing something we need to do. Take my
Yeah.
wool away. Whatever I get's a bonus.
yeah.
Do you know? And that's something you do as well. You're still doing. It's
Texacloth.
Is it Branagh now? Is it Texacloth?
Branagh, aye.
Aye.
It was Texacloth to start with, to get friend with the boss himself for Texacloth. And he come to me after he started this and he says, you wouldn't mind bringing some wool to the Irish boy that we're starting here? I said, well, we go to it, Willie. And anyway, I had the hog wool over to him, like, and I revert, and see if life was as simple as this, they wouldn't have been near the mental health that we've got today. Whenever the rules in the back of the trailer, reverse into a set of scales, put the sheets onto a set of scales, tell me how many kilos it was, and at that time Blackface wool was 95 pence a kilo. And they get the checkbook out and ready to count it up, say how many kilos at 95 pence. Is that all it's stay this like? I said, this is it, aye. Oh, well, don't give me the new. I'm away for the rest of it. So we went and left, got the rest of it, come over, wrote the check out, and it was good. It was a good check at that time for that time of that time of life, like.
Aye.
It's come to a good check. But now at the present moment, Blackface wool at the moment, we're lucky if we get 20 pence for it.
Yeah.
Compared
Is
to
that
95.
obviously you'll kind of have a better grasp of it than most people because you're, for them, it doesn't
Yeah.
realise what we're talking about there. You now run a depot like that where people bring the wool, they weigh it, you write it in the book, and then they're paid out more or less the same year.
Alan Walsh split away with his dad and his brother, and Alan started away with his Branagh Allen in his own name. But he's a wee bit unfortunate in a way too, because when he split up, it's time of COVID, and they hadn't a set of books to show the government what's happening here, and they never go in and support with it, like.
I know.
And at that time, previous to that, the checkbook was out and he just paid it there and then. Since the wool was there,
Straightforward.
he paid it. But now it's got to the other end of the stick. He's waiting about a year because he needed the money to come. But wool wasn't selling near his wool.
Yeah.
Well, at that time. But now, at the present moment, wool's going to get, I can see it getting a wee bit rise, it's getting better. But whether it ever gets to that stage or not, I don't know. Because they're all saying about in synthetic things and want to try and do away with them. Like, well, they're not more natural than Blackface or any kind of wool
Yeah.
is. It's a thing that's got to be to know for that sheep every year. And there's some of the wool really good, some of your Cheviot, your Bell Tex or Texel, really smashing wool like. And but it's, in the blackie wool, this is a wee bit of the little cut out here, like. But the blackie boys have forgotten what wool should look like. You go to the top sales, and I'm maybe too old for to appreciate what they're doing, but you should, in my opinion, you should have a sheep well clad. I don't mean inches of wool, like a nice coat, woolly skin, clad to the neck, nice bushy tail, same as what the body is. No, they can be peeled down the
peeling.
neck, bare tails. I can see you cutting that out of the new.
Listen, I think a lot of folk will appreciate the honesty. Like,
Well, the worst things is, maybe as the wool's no worth much, but that sheep needs, it's not so bad now.
It's for a
When I get
practical
back
job.
in the 60s, 70s, we used to have quite a lot of snow and really hard frost, like, and that sheep needs clad. It's like, when you sim it on, like, or a shirt on, like, in a cold day. Well, that's not just for that wool, it's for the welfare of that animal, like.
yeah.
Well, that's my way of looking at it.
No, it's a fair point.
Yeah.
And I sometimes, when folk moan about the price of wool, I sometimes ask them the question is, when did you last buy a tup to improve the wool quality of your flock? Nobody has.
No, no.
Nobody does. They don't. The wool's the last thing they look at.
Aye, it's like a downward spiral, though, isn't it?
Aye,
You're not
so
getting paid for it. You're not going to prioritise it, and
Exactly, and it just gets worse and worse. But like nobody does anything to improve their wool. And funny, like I actually thought we got a great. I think we get 960 quid last year for our wool, and we had probably roughly 1,000 sheep, but about a third of them would be Cheviots.
Right.
And that was the big lift for us. And the rest would be mules, which isn't a bad. Mule wool is reasonable as well. I think it's all right. So that gave us a decent lift, but I mean, it's still
that was a good price there, though.
That was great.
We had 1,000 sheep.
But there'd be lambs. There'd be some lambs too. But I don't think lamb's wool's worth anything, is it? What's lamb's wool worth?
It's worth money to you, like.
Aye, we probably show our 300 lambs to you in that, maybe. So maybe there's 1,300 in total. But
it's not to what it was to be like.
No, aye. I mean, that's not even covering the cost of shearing or anywhere near it.
But I think at one time, if I'm right in saying this, there used to be a subsidy in wool. The government paid a subsidy wool maybe in the
that's right.
late 50s, 60s.
Well, this is the Korean wartime, I think, when they were desperate for uniforms, wasn't it?
Oh,
right.
really?
Yeah. I think they
Was
almost
a subsidy on it?
I think they almost doubled what your wool check was, or there was something crazy like that.
Aye, it was good. That's when they could pay the shepherd that.
That's it.
No?
Pay the farm rent. So the whole story here. Pay the farm rent for the wool check.
Well, we've never managed to do it was anyway.
No.
The boys are wanting too much now.
Aye, the interest rates are too high. Aye, the wages are too high. That's the other thing.
That's another thing I would say to you. I think it's a really good thing. We're really lucky in a way. I've got two good boys working. My son takes us more to do it now. He does all the paperwork and does most of it. Like. And he's got two good boys helping him. Stevie, wee Pepe, come from the Czech Republic. You go to the stage where we have a wee butcher shop as well. We call it beef and lamb. And the boy, Ian Noble, a professional boy, caught with cattle and sheep. Pepe's went, do you mind if I have a wee look at you and watch you if you're doing it like? Well, unbelievable how good he is like.
I'm just picking it up by watching.
But look for a pay rise after this chat like.
He's saying too many nice things about him. Andy's wife Mary's behind the camera here, just got her head in her hands.
We should have a camera on Mary
just
and
reactions.
the
Was it? Beep. But anyway, all the cattle and sheep will go to Wishaw Abattoir. And they'll hang the cattle in the abattoir for 3 weeks to a month. Depends how much fat cover they have. But we like to hang them at least 3 weeks. Bring them out, cut them up. And they all go there in some lambs. But there's somebody can come to me with a lamb with a broken leg, jumped the gate and broke its leg. Well, we've a wee bit at the farm, with a wee winch on it, just still kill the lamb there. As long as that lamb goes back to the boy, just a lamb.
Just home kill.
Home kill.
Yeah.
Well, the alternative is, if I don't do it, I don't know anybody else. I know anyway. They'll do something like that. They bring the lamb up, have a wee bolt gun, shoot the lamb first, and then bleed it like, cut its throat, hang it up. And to me, it's a really saving grace to think that lamb was perfect. Once I have a leg off, there's nothing wrong with that lamb.
Aye. It would all just be wasted. They'd have to pay 17 quid to get it lifted by Grace Hill, and it'd all just go to wait the incinerator when it's perfectly good meat.
Yeah. Well, the other wee thing is, Steve, you'll never listen to this either. If she go out the door, they do. Anyway, I had a fella phone me one day. He says, I've got a bull here that's broke its hind leg, but I think another bull broke its hind leg. He says, can you do anything with it? And I says, it depends. He says, I'll bear a ton. It's about 1,200 kilos like. A big Aberdeen Angus bull. So anyway, well, the only thing I can recommend to you, there's a fella I know, he'll come and slaughter it for you. He'll kill it, skin it, gut it, and he'll send it away. He'll take all the stuff away it's left. Hang it for a night, a teleporter or somebody can hang it high, and it's split down through the middle, and bring it to me, and we'll work with it, go to come to Netherwood like. So when he comes up with it, and we'll have a chill, I'll hold the beast, but it just held dishing like.
Aye.
But anyway, the beast come up, teleporter, and Stevie works with us, a really well-made boy like, and we usually cut it between the 6th and 7th rib for the shoulder like. So anyway, we were Andy gets a teleporter light and lifts us half side off. It was huge. But anyway, cut it through the rib, and Stevie says, just let it run a wee bit to see what it feels like. You know, whoa. It was like, I couldn't wait. So we took another couple of ribs off it, like, to get it in.
Aye.
But you know, we put that in there and we cut it all up. And that wee Pepe man, cut the most of it up his cell, like.
Is that right?
Wow.
I mean, a beautiful joy. After it cut up, I was selling beef. Mary valued that beast. What do you reckon that beast come to after she weighed all the selling at the same price, and we're no dearer than anyone else for selling our beef and lamb.
So what a fully butchered beast comes to?
Fully butchered
God,
beast.
I would have no idea.
Well, I think like a fat one sells for like $2,000. I don't know much about
Oh,
beast.
really?
Well,
I wasn't going anywhere near that.
Oh, like I think a finished beast is about $2,000.
Oh, really?
So would it be double it? Would it be 4?
No way.
4,500.
4,500.
No.
And I'll tell you, it was lovely.
And that would have just gone to waste.
You gave the man 1,500 for it.
You can see it.
The guy thought it was a great deal. He only paid 2 for it. He's like, Christ, that's not a bad deal, Andy, thanks. You're a heart of gold. You're a heart of gold.
I took 1,500 to cut it up.
That's how Mary was working out what the guy was getting off it. Getting how much to charge.
No, I didn't charge that. I find it really hard to value that.
Aye.
What the fella got in actual beef, and it was really good, like, I found it really hard because Pepe was at that for quite a few days.
Aye.
Yeah.
Well, you have 3 men there.
Yeah.
You have 3 men there working at it, trying to get it in,
Well,
equipment.
it wasn't as much that. The rest of Stevie and Andy kind of works together. They work with the sheep and
Aye.
other things that's going in the farm. And Pepe, when they're no wool, with time,
Yeah.
at that time of year, the wool wasn't in anyway, like, the meat was perfect. And they went to see the size of the steaks. Unbelievable the size of these steaks. And it looked lovely, like.
Just shows you $4,500. What does a sheep turn into then? what will a 50 kilo lamb turn into when you cut it up?
Well, see when you cut it up, well, in the spring of the year, I was getting £200 for Blackface with the lambs, 54 kilos. And see if I turn out the lambs and hang them up, and they've been crucified.
Because they're too big.
Because they're too fat,
Aye, okay.
too heavy and too fat.
Aye, so you butchering them you're getting 200 quid's worth of cuts off it, of meat off it.
Well, you'd have to charge that.
Aye,
Because
aye.
at present moment, if you have a good lamb at Lanark here, that lamb's going to be 140, 50 pounds.
Oh, I
for
know.
a quality lamb.
Aye,
like
the time you put
50
your time
kilos.
in.
Aye. And if somebody comes here to want to cut it up, I used to be £25 to do it. To the skin, do the full thing, like 25. No. And a guy come one day to put an aerial up, and he went up that ladder 5 minutes to do it up and back down. 75 quid.
Aye.
Oh, Christ, that's right.
Aye.
So I'll take my style.
Well,
Yeah,
that,
definitely.
If I didn't take it, or we didn't take it to cut that lamb up, that lamb was away £20 out your pocket and getting the lamb back.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Where
Yeah.
farm comes here.
farmers
Yeah.
are funny, but like it's the same when I'm doing things like scanning and that. Like you're on the same boat. It's not like the aerial guy just sees you as a rich farmer, charge whatever you like, who cares? Whereas we're doing the same job. So like when I go to do a scanning job, say you're turning up there with a 15 grand machine plus your trailer and pickup and that, you're turning up there with 40 grand's worth of gear.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the wee jobs where you've got to set a price. You turn up to the wee jobs of 20 sheep, like even at £100, which sounds dear because you're literally there for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's 40 grand. It's 40 grand worth of gear.
Yeah, and your time.
Like
to go.
who in the real world would turn up with all that? If you ask somebody to come with a 15 grand machine to do a job, you'd be
What are you
£200.
talking about? It is dear.
£100. It is dear. But it's no, because I've had folk, somebody comes in to change a bloody tap, it's £100 and he's
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I know.
like,
Oh,
and
please.
all he needs is a spanner
Or a
and
call out fee, even just to come and look at something that's even done.
Aye.
Locksmiths are the worst.
those guys, that's how they only work 4 days a week and we work 7.
Yeah.
Aye, isn't it? We're the daft ones. We're the daft ones.
But I often think to myself as well, but see if it's in the value a farm and what you go for that farm, you'd be better selling the whole thing and put it into a bank account somewhere and get 5% on it compared to what you really end up with. Like,
Oh, farming is mental.
I think it's a love for farming.
Oh, it is.
I wouldn't do anything else. I've done nothing else all my life, and I'm made to do the very same until Mary kicks me out or something like that. What are you looking at?
Getting closer every day.
As long as I'm fit to go to my bed in the morning, there's jobs I can do. I can take a beast to an abattoir, I can take a hogs to a winter, things I can still do as long as I get fit enough to do it.
Aye.
And what would I do? Sit at home and mope and...
It's a way of life.
It's like us here, like the sheep game. You've seen the warehouse we've got here, and the sheep game, the merch, the YouTube stuff we do. It's brilliant. It's making great money. And as my accountant says, like I could have loads of money if I would stop buying sheep and stop renting ground.
It's true.
Like, I mean, I don't know, tell you the amount of money that I'm constantly
drained.
taking out the sheep game,
Right.
just to buy more sheep or to rent that bit of ground, or because I need to buy $2,000 worth of foot vacs this month, and then it's $2,000 worth of boluses, and then it's $5,000 a click, and like all this money you constantly need out, and you kid yourself on it's going to be all right, but when you're paying big rents, it doesn't work out. But it's a pleasure. I love it.
Think of the
Yeah.
I do the sheep game in that so I can buy more sheep.
Yeah, it's what makes you happy.
I don't do it to buy fancy motors
No.
or any of that stuff. I just want to buy sheep and have loads of them.
But see, when the sheep gets to a certain amount, that's all the sheep. If all their young lambs coming on, you don't need to buy as much.
Well, that's if I would just stop for a minute expanding,
Yeah.
it would make... That's what I console myself with when Iona and I's arguing about it. I console myself with... The money is there in the stock.
Yeah.
It's just I keep buying more.
More of them.
So I never have any money. I've just constantly taken the money away. One day, I keep joking, you might make this joke too, it's like the money will be there when I die. And somebody has to go, right, we need to sell all this. And I'm like, Christ, he had some money in stock. It's like, Jesus, I need to watch this inheritance tax.
Luckily, I'm not a relation.
Well, that's it. Well, that'll be the first year thing, actually. He owes most of that to the Sheep Game Limited.
Most foragers don't supply sheep and cattle with enough cobalt, copper, iodine and selenium, critical to digestion, immunity, reproduction and growth. When it comes to supplementation, there's a danger of under or oversupply. But when bolusing with Animax Tracesure, you can be sure every animal has enough for up to 6 months in one single application. Animax, giving what it takes.
We need to get values of Blackie Tups, and also let's tell us about the bulls, because you do well with the bulls too.
Blackie Tips, it's a hit or a miss. Don't get me wrong, you get a fair buzz out of it. It's not just the money. Same with winning a show or something like that. Not to do with the money.
No.
It's that wee buzzy bit
Aye.
that I really like. Then the social bit, I have to enjoy good company and...
Yeah. Well, folk that have plenty of money always say it's not about the money, so that makes sense. John's the same.
No, I've got that thing.
But Alan at All Who's Spun, he's got the eggs to sell. He couldn't care less if he gets $100,000 for a tup. It's just about the winning. The eggs cover the bill. It's just about winning. That's what it's like. Isn't it though? It's the buzz of being the best.
It's the buzz of doing that.
Aye, being the best.
But Alan and your dad really good at the job. Like I see some of his tups and steaks over there and the blackies. Christ, make some job with them. Like really quality stuff. Like.
Well, Alan's got it lucky because he can look over the dike and see what John's
See
doing
John's
and just copy. It's like copying the homework, and he's got. You're a wee bit too far away.
It's really good. That
He takes it in good spirits. Well, Muirkirk is just crazy. Like
I know.
we've said this before, because as folk will be imagine these farmers we've had on, John, Alan, yourself,
Cooper.
Davy Cooper. That we've had 4 of these guys on. They're all wealthy farmers, and a bloody hard bit to farm.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? One of them drives a Lamborghini. I'll not say what one, but it's not.
One of them's got a jet ski. Had one.
I had a jet ski. Had a jet ski. Yeah. Just like I had a shotgun. Not to run it down, because
no.
you produce incredible stock, and he's what bloody. But it's produced good stockmen and women.
Yeah.
Like you have to be able to farm in Muirkirk. That's the reality.
Yeah.
It's a Muirkirk's a hard bit to keep up with, because we grow rashes and weeds and all that. It's the easiest growing thing I know.
Aye, rashes.
Aye. And unfortunately, on the state ground, we're organic and we can't touch them.
Oh.
But doing Netherwood and Great Dyke and one foot, I can spray whatever I want to, and what something different like. And we had game crops here we were growing for the shooting job, and we're just getting to the stage sorting them out, like, and that grew all the weeds you can possibly mention, like. And I don't know whether anybody's listening or not, but there's a spray called Forefront, and I sprayed their all the weeds, and all that was left was the natural grass. No rashes, it didn't kill the rashes, but thistles and dokins and all the other rubbish, like. I mean, some job out, like, I'd recommend that to him. But unfortunately, for some reason, I've had to find this out, we can't take the silage off it for a couple of years. There's some that does the ground.
Right, okay.
You can't silage it for 2 years after you get it done. But how it kills the rest is unbelievable. Like.
Yeah.
And your roundup, as far as I'm concerned, it's no near as good as it used to be. Like.
Right, okay.
And they kill it.
And Forefront's one of the ones that's still legal. You can still use it.
I can still use it, aye.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I had a wee go at this time and create some different, like.
Yeah, but it doesn't do the rashes. What do you use for rashes? Just Roundup?
An MCPA does it, like.
And you can spray that on grass as well.
You can
but it'll just take the rashes.
The only wee thing about spraying the grazing land, it can be sore near clover. You can kill your rashes and some of your broadleaf weeds, like your buttercups and daisies. It's a great job of that. But it can be seeing your clover, like. Can't win them all.
No. Well, you're lucky you just don't get any clover in Muirkirk anyway, do you?
No, it's hard.
Just heather.
I'm trying to get the heather planted now.
Aye. Just hard bit. But, sorry, I jumped over that. We're going to go. I want to ask that one.
No, well, I was kind of moving tact. Is that in the same? Yours in the same way?
No.
No, I was going to ask if you've got like a highlight of your farming life.
Oh, that's a good
highlight? Oh.
You can take time to think.
Well, I highlighted generally things. I've really enjoyed farming. I couldn't see anything else. I couldn't see whatever you like, but I've really enjoyed it. And running the Highland Show was a pinnacle to, and I really enjoyed judging the Highland Show. I asked me to judge it a couple of years ago there, and I really enjoyed it. Like whether I'm in a good job, it was my day, and whether I was right or wrong, but I reckon I was right because it said in the Scottish Fair in the following week, I didn't. It was the same as I didn't like. and the same selling with tops. The dearest tops I had a shearling at 17,000 and a lamb at 18,000 and 2 or 3 at teens 1,000. But for what I was putting into it, I was really delighted with that. And I'll tell you a wee story as well. And it just no did all about money. I went to sale quite a few years ago, and I liked a tennis top. And I was beat to buy it. It made 2,200. And Anderson for Penchrist, Jim Anderson for Penchrist bought it. And in the following year, Penchrist didn't usually sell lamb, but it's some lambs at the November sale. And he showed this lamb, and it was a Muirhouse's top. And I just went to see it because he won the show. But here when I coming at the ring, and I can't remember, it made about 500 or 600 pounds. It wasn't daft money like. But here the next lamb come in, it was this 2,200 tension. And but anyway, when I come in there, I said, it looks a decent lamb like, but it had a ditch of diarrhea, it was scared a bit like, and stuck at a tenner. So I bid once and I made £15 with the top. So I got the lamb home, getting it a doze, dried up the scour and started getting a wee bite. And I guess that lamb looked great. And old Bob, my shepherd, says, I think we should draw 20 ewes to that tip. All right. So we drew the 20 ewes, like. And we come to the spring of the year, went to see what our lambs are doing. And there was a top lamb, a ewe really, was a 600 Gosling top. This is going back quite a while, like. 600 Gosling top. And then Bob said to me, hey, I think I'm doing see there are 2 lambs down here. They're a ewe lamb and a top lamb. And they're really 2 smashing clean lamb, a black head, light coloured legs, no black on them at all. And anyway, to cut a long story short, when it come top sale time, this was our leader lamb of the October sale. And Jim Finlay for Hatton, he come round the one with the old coat over the shoulders, like, and we just knew the lamb sorted, like. And he says, would you mind, son, just catching the lamb and turning for me? No, that'll be no bother, Jim. So I turned the lamb up, and he says, and he was as clean as whistleblower, no black or none below him, like. He says, well, I'll be round after to see when the singles were at. And it was Wally Graham Aspire Slack who was judging it. And we did win the singles.
There you go.
Really?
And we went to the ring. The lamb made £2,000 that day. And he was the third dearest lamb. It was sold Trost. The first 2,400 and 2,000. And we dishing at 2,000 as well.
After £15 top?
After £15.
Oh my God.
And everybody knew that. We didn't even say it was half what it was half. But see, and I'll tell them the story, because I really like that tin of stuff.
Aye,
Beautiful here. But
There
it
you go.
shows they don't need to be dear.
No, definitely
Nah.
not.
You've just got the eye for it. You just knew, and you
Well,
followed
at
the
that
line.
time, I looked at it was luck as well. Like, maybe we could have didn't do at all. I like to father it.
Yeah.
And I could go and buy a top even yet. I like to buy a top I couldn't buy. It was too dear because I liked that
Okay.
top.
Aye.
And it comes the following year, 9 times out of 10, when somebody buys that top, they've been the best draw of the house.
Yes.
So when you look at a tip lamb off it and it's like them, I'd rather buy in like that.
Aye.
But didn't I work?
No,
No.
there's so much. It's like, because that's,
So much.
well,
luck.
it's different names at the top most years. Like, Texels is the same. Like,
Yeah.
oh, all right, the names will go round and round, but
Yeah,
it's not like one farm tops it every single year.
yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
You've some maybe day better than, you know, your man Hunter there is always smashing it at Dalmally. Like, I don't think he ever has a bad year, does he?
Still Hurler.
Still
Even
Hurler.
Hurler.
Aye, I don't think he never has a bad year.
Some job, the boy.
Aye,
Tremendous.
at Dalmally,
And
absolutely
Patsy,
smashes
yeah.
it. And to fair, Midlock as well is another one that does. He does quite good with the shearlings, doesn't he?
Yeah, Midlock do great, yeah.
Aye, the lambs as well.
They
I'm
do
sure.
everything. They're good at it all.
That's another one. at
Well,
some
that's the
point.
thing you can see. That's when it ever gave you any inspiration. I knew late grandpa, old Jack, the father.
Uh-huh.
No,
This
no,
is at Midlock?
No, at Midlock.
Aye.
I knew him when he was selling tops. And that family's kept that going. If I ever said to you, we they thought he was the best farmer, presentation and everything to do, I'd like to see Midlock.
Yeah.
They're really good at what they do, like.
Aye.
Yeah.
And nice folk for buy.
Aye. Good. Aye, no, they are. Aye.
Yeah.
Great humility.
Yeah.
I
Aye.
always say that.
Aye.
So no, real interesting. So we've covered the tops there. We better cover these bulls.
Well,
As
the bulls
well.
are another thing. We don't have a lot of them.
Uh-huh.
Of between 8 and 10 cows, Belgian and Limmy cows, like. The Limmies are no pedigreed. I had them pedigree for a wee while, and I said, I can sell the bulls at home without them in pedigreed. If I got a nice shapy bull, I'm able to selling it. But the Belgian, the British Blues, they're all pedigreed. And it's like when you're going to a market there, the best, I try to take it to the market because you can't value it. But anyway, when we started away with them, I just started away with 2 or 3 cows and we built them up. But they don't last as long because we're mostly cesarean them, but we started flushing more,
Okay.
flushing heifers and maybe a second calf or something like that. And that's a hit or a miss too. If you get a nice flush, it's really, really good. Like,
Is this flushing her to put her in a recip cow? Or,
I to put them on your recip, aye.
aye. So like, is this kind of? I don't know anything about cattle really. Is this the issue with these British Blues? You're saying
British Blues, aye.
is what they're just hard to calve because they're
Just the shape of the
like
a lot-
Beltex or Texels that are just solid. They're just hard
A
to.
lot of them, like especially heifer calves.
Aye.
We've got calves from heifer calf, but you don't know till you're pulling it.
Right.
I had 2 not long ago there with a flushing her. She'd 4 heifer calves and I managed to get them out all right. But if you have a bull calf and you try to put it and then you kill it,
That's too much. You kill her and the
No,
calf.
you maybe no kill the cow right now, but you're a good chance you'll kill the calf. Like.
Aye, okay.
And I'd rather pay £300 to £400 to get that calf out living and it shakes its head when it comes out. I'm ready to go, like.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate bit about them. And that's the bit down bit. But yeah, once you put the Belgian Blues onto cross cows like a Limmy or Simmental or Continental cows, mainly, Angus cows are all right too, but they don't get as good a shape calf out of them as a Continental cow. But once you come onto them, they split them because that's what kind of cows I had.
Okay.
Limmies and cross cows.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I ever have a cesarean with them, like.
But it's just
pure-
when you're doing them pure.
just in them pure and they're this muscly calf. Then you see after about a fortnight, unbelievable the shape of some of the calves.
Aye.
Yeah.
To be fair, I've seen. I mean, they
Yeah.
are very impressive. We'll put a
Yeah.
wee shot of one up on,
Yeah.
on the screen like that. It's
Aye,
yeah, they've got that kind of freak muscle look about them.
that's right. But we try and sell the most of them at home. I don't go daft. I think the dearest bull I ever sold at home was 7,000. But I've had quite a lot of that kind of 5,000. A good
Yeah.
trade.
Yeah.
But if I take it to the market, and I'm just wondering if I should tell you this.
Yeah, you've told us worse. I can guarantee you've told us worse.
There was 2 bulls. There was 2 bulls, and I just boy interested in the bulls. And they're really two nice bulls, like, maybe they're the better ones we've had. And he said, couldn't make up his mind what bull to pick, like. And he said, do you mind if I send Bob Reid for you unthanked? You might know it, but Bob Reid worked for UA. He died about 2 years.
Right, I don't ken him.
There was a nice fella, like. Do you mind if I send Bob Reid in for a wee look? He can give me his opinion. What bull should take, like. No, I don't mind. No. Just let him come in. And here with Bob landed in the close at Netherwood. He says, I said, you want to see the bulls, Bob? No need to, because he'd been at Lindburn before, the other place where they keep the bulls. Oh, no, I've seen the bulls. Well, going for a cup of coffee, and he goes, well, so I was him. I said, I'd advise the biggest bull then, it's a wee bit longer than what the other one is. He says, for the kind of cows he's got, that's fine. And he really was a good bull type, but he just get him a wee bit wider on his hind legs. He wasn't narrow, like, but he just didn't same as the other one. But anyway, and I told him what I was wanting for him. I was looking for 7,000 for him. And anyway, I'll take the ball. Well, the end he didn't take. And I taken it to Carlisle, and I got 14 for him. I said, well, I do it just like average them. You just can't bargain.
You
See if
can't,
you get two folk interested in it. It's like tops as well.
Absolutely.
If you get two folk interested in that, I thought I can do anything like.
That's where luck, like even with tops, your ballot, where you are in the sale, that can be the
That's a
difference
big
in literally
like.
tens of thousands of pounds.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
I know.
If I'm it must, like I always think with those ones, like Kelso, I think was an example. Folk were coming to us at Kelso and saying the Texel shearlings at the end of the sale were getting crazy because folk were getting desperate. Because folk, you pick your tup and you wait for that tup to come in. You disregard the ones before, and then it comes in middle of the sale, say, and you get outbid on it, which always happens. You pick the one you want, you can't buy the one you want, and then you go, jings, God, right, and then you run about and go, right, what's further down the sale, right, check these, right, well, there's a good tup, right, back to the ring, and it's like, well, I need to get this tup now, and all of a sudden you're paying
over the odds for one you didn't even want.
How often do you do it and say, I wish I'd went £200 more for the one I wanted? That's what I like about these online sales. It gives you a chance to go away, maybe fire a couple of bids on another one, and then when it starts going up, say, oh, bugger, I'll just pay a bit more for the one I want. Whereas with a live sale, you get one chance at it.
Well, that's it.
And I'm terrible, I bottle it. And then I'll be going home going, why did I not just buy the one I wanted for an extra couple of quid?
Yeah.
You know, it happens
That's
so
where
often.
the end of a sale comes in handy.
Aye.
If you're at the end of the sale, that's exactly what happens.
Yep.
You get start the sale away there, and that's exactly what happens. I'll get beat for that tip. I'll get it nice and a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the end you really wanted. You better go in another couple of thousand for the end you'd really picked.
Aye.
Because you're never happy with it, like.
No, that's it. If you don't get the one you want, you do. Yeah. Especially when, as you say, late in the sale, you pay more than you bloody should have anyway.
No, that's
you start thinking about the ones at the start of the sale you could have had for handier money.
That's right.
But that's just the fun of
Well,
the game.
and as far as the limits are concerned, they're non-pedigreed, but I work with a shapy bull, mostly eye, but we bought a bull last year, and the calves off him this year, and I'm really pleased with them. But if I keep the heifer calves, if they're good anyway, keep the heifer calves, the best of them. But I used to work with a lot of AI, and they're a bull called Jägerbomb. And
Have you ever had one? Have you ever had a Jägerbomb?
No.
Do you know it's a drink? No.
Tell a lie.
Has he had one?
I would have been surprised if you had
it.
that. I was going to say, I would have been surprised.
The bit was wrong with it, it wasn't one. No, but like I said, this bull, Jägerbomb, is a bull that was deregistered.
Right.
They sold it
Why
for
does that happen?
34,000. They say it wasn't bred the way it was supposed to be bred.
So they lied on the... Well, not lied, but they got the form wrong.
Some was wrong anyway, and they found out it was the mother that was wrong.
Right.
And the DNA'd the mother when they killed her.
Right,
I didn't realise this happened right enough.
Right.
Well, that's what I've been led to believe. But they deregistered the bull. But it was a really good bull, like.
Okay.
Shapy and done really well. But it caused a lot of bother with two folk at bought it, like. For registering the young stock off it, like. It's water below the bridge. I used him because it didn't make any difference to me. He was a good bull.
Yep.
So I've been the same and had it for 2 years. Calves are really good off them, like.
Aye.
But it's none fancy. I'd say we're not in a great firm for bringing a lot of things out. But
what makes the most money of all your enterprises? Where's the money?
Well, as I say, that the Belgian Blues was 14 as the dearest I sold. Won at 11, won the show against him that
Topped
day.
it with the Blues.
11,000 was the top price that day. And he was only 16 months old.
Aye.
But the end of the wee highlights today is with a top lamb to Castle Douglas. The sale at Castle Douglas used to be a really good sale, like. And the man I was telling you about Bob Drive, Bob says, you like him and see this lamb? He's no in the sale lot, but he's fairly dainty and he's out of top. I sent he used to Elmsklough to a con in top, but he broke the end off his horn. And he had no a stumpy horn, but a short horn. And I said, Bob, that's a nice lamb, like. So bring it in. So I said to Bob, I says, that's a good lamb, Bob. So we brought it into the sale lot and we kept it going and we got him sorted out. And it really was a nice lamb. So we went to Castle Douglas and the odds the record at Castle Douglas, 13,000 it was.
Right.
Wow.
And to me that was a great buzz because I was really unexpected with him with the short horn.
Yeah.
I said that'll maybe hurt him, but and the Milmart boys bought it.
Right.
Milmart and somebody else had bought it like.
They won the Highland Show this year, didn't they? Your
Aye.
dad picked
Yeah.
them for the Highland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it Ramsey, the name?
My Ramsey,
Yeah, yeah.
Ramsey boys from Milmart. Aye. And a brother, his was the other half it like. But it's a lot of luck in it.
That's about
Yeah.
it.
Aye, it is.
But supposing you're talking about the big numbers there, but I mean just in general in terms of your business, like what is your thing that, I mean it all complements each other of course, but
What
like
you mean whether it's the wool or the...
yeah, is it your Branagh
The
Holland thing?
wool at the
Is
present moment,
is it the home?
I say that they're never going to get a turn out of it.
No.
You're Andy's friend with Alan Walsh. I don't know whether between was saying it, but he's friendly with Alan Walsh and he wants to see Alan progressing. He's trying like a bugger to keep it going like. And he's getting a wee bit better again. But for 2 or 3 years, maybe a couple or 3 years there, he wasn't that good, but he still wanted to see if he can. And it is getting better. And I hope it does for Alan's sake, like.
But see, I think, I know the big attraction to people initially going to Texacloth as it was the fact you're paid straight away.
Yeah.
Was the big thing, and now you're saying it's slightly different. But see to me and see to a lot of farmers, I don't think that really matters. Like, and I've said this before when talking about wool. Now, like, I'm very pro British wool, like, because I think if they go, we're screwed. Because it'll be a case of just give us your wool or burn it, because it'll be worth nothing if we lose them.
Yeah.
But I still believe that I would take my wool to wherever's closest.
Aye.
So I would not drive by you to take it to the depot at Irvine. The depot at Irvine's 10 minutes from
I
me.
know.
10
Well,
minutes.
I appreciate that.
So I go to
Yeah.
Irvine. But if I was in Muirkirk or anywhere near you, I'd take it to you. Or if I was, like, wool
where's
is worth
handy.
so little.
Yeah, it's just whatever's handy.
It's whatever's closest. And
Yeah.
supposing you're 10 pence a kilo less than British wool, I couldn't care less.
No,
It's like,
handy.
it's handy.
Well, we're still drawing a lot of folk. There's some people at the moment, especially the Blackie boys, are not bringing it at all and just putting it in a road or something and covering it over with stone.
Is that right?
It's more money to bring it, the wool for the value and what it's worth.
And they're just,
It's a sin, but we don't help ourselves, as I said earlier on. We don't help ourselves.
Yeah.
no, I know. But so that part of the business obviously is not a big earner as such. But like, as your farm business, when you sit down at the end of the year, you and Andy, I should say, I've mentioned Andy a couple. Your son is also called Andy Woodburn.
Yeah,
It's just, you're not just talking about yourself. Andrew, Mum says
Andrew,
Andrew.
aye.
Andy to his mates. You're not just talking about yourself in the third person.
No, no,
some
no,
sort of
no.
narcissist. Andy runs things now. It's like, I know Andy, you're here. So when you sit down at year and you look at your things and you're maybe looking ahead to buying more stuff or borrowing more money, you've got to look at what's making money. What is, in your farming business,
Well,
what's
I'll tell you,
your best thing?
we've diversified quite a bit. We've 6 proven wee small wind turbines. Where Andy, he was in the company that, what do you call it?
VG Energy.
VG Energy.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out at the end, but I could see how it was going to happen. It was get big too quick. But it didn't matter. He and somebody and we put wind turbines up. And don't get me wrong, I know I'm going to break your heart out of the helium, like, but it's an income. We put biomass boilers in, and it's a great thing. My farmhouse, our Mary and I's farmhouse, is nice and cosy, and it's great, like. The one biomass boiler at home, there's the farmhouse, and there's a wee cottage just next to the farm. The shepherd that Bob Drive's house, heats it and a workshop. And it makes a beautiful joint. That workshop is great, like, it's heavenly, like.
Aye.
And It's another job. We got a guy in buying the raw wood, and Robert McTurk, the boy chips for wood for us. Then we'll go to cart it and keep them all stoked up. Like it's another job, but it's worth it. Like
Aye. Well, the subsidy off it basically, you'll be like heating your house for nothing essentially.
Aye,
Heating that for
it's
nothing.
really good that way. Like, and then some solar panels as well. But it's all the wee bits that makes it extra. But I often think it's the same with a single farm payment. That's the bastion. Like,
Aye.
if I didn't have a single farm payment and with the things we've got, it doesn't give us a big turn. Like,
Aye.
we butcher shop, got beef and lamb. Well, there's a bit of venison or a pig or something like that for for somebody. And when it comes in, supposing I didn't have anything off it, it's nice to have it in our freezer. If I'm eating a steak or I'm in a pun of mince or and my family as well.
Eating like a king.
Son Andy, if he wanted a steak or whatever he's wanting, if a daughter, 2 daughters, one's away in Canada and the other one's at home. And if they haven't eaten some meat, wouldn't made nothing off it. As long as I can feed the family.
What about some neighbours? If some neighbours wanted a steak or two?
Oh, if you talk to me nice, it'd be amazing. I'm shocked if I just sent out.
If this podcast goes down well, it'll go all right. It'll be fine. Aye.
I'll get my mate.
I just cannot wait till one of the boys drops that shotgun off and says, "Andy, no hard feelings. Sorry about that." Many years ago was that? About 20 years? It's not really even. No, I was like, no, we heard about it. It's just a fortnight ago.
Oh no, it's a while ago right now.
Aye, I would just love that if somebody just turned up and goes,
years ago.
15? Ach, it was a different time back then, it was better.
But I'll tell you, it certainly didn't do any harm. What I done. I know it's not the right thing to do. I wasn't going out there and jeopardise myself. And I wouldn't have shot any, well, I wouldn't be meaning to.
No.
But it's either him or me.
Oh, sure there was the fella, they were in stealing his diesel down south, the old, what was he, 70 odd, like well into his 70s, and he shot the guy and killed him, and he shot another one, and he get done, well, he didn't get done, he get charged with murder. But like, there's no world where if you step onto somebody's property to steal, right, and I'm stand by it, and that man comes out there to defend it, and he's, I'm not saying you're frail, Andy, at all.
No,
I've seen you tossing a sheath.
I'm getting
You're certainly not. You're certainly not frail. You'll be frail when you're writing your statement. Like absolute madness. You go out there and get a kicking.
Yeah.
Like you can't take a kicking.
No.
Like, so I stand by anyone that does that. I think it's the same way I get upset about this fella getting the fine for having his grandwayne in the tractor.
Oh, I know.
£3,000 fine for having the like madness. Absolute madness, like.
I know.
And I think that must be an old-fashioned law back when there was no cabs on tractors.
Yeah,
and it was dangerous.
Yeah.
It makes sense then they could fall, blow a wheel or something. But these modern bloody tractors, it's the safest place to be.
Okay.
Like, absolute madness.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Like. So there's all the things. I think if you come onto somebody's property to pinch, to steal, and mean ill, then hell menu. That's what I say. Hell menu, like. But I hope this does not get played out in court at some point. That I encouraged them. Like, I hope
but to me that's right. I was the very same. I know even though I lost my gun, I says the wrong buddy's getting chased here. It's a guy who stole the gun.
Well, he probably did deserve to get charged, to be fair. Like I think he did deserve to get charged. I mean, you left it lying in the back seat of the Polaris and went in for a pint.
Well,
I'm not saying. I mean, a £400 fine isn't, it's like don't do that again, Andy.
I know.
And it was probably fair enough. Would you not say it was a fair enough fine?
Well, I couldn't turn it. No, that's not right. But I appreciate that.
Aye.
Appreciate that. That's why I pleaded guilty.
Aye.
It was right enough.
You did the right thing afterwards with it all.
But I tell them the wrong thing, like.
Oh, you should have just said it was in the close. And you should have. I know.
No, me. It's water below the bridge.
It is. It's a great wee story for a podcast.
I know, great story.
So, Andy, obviously got conscious of time there. Is anything,
that's fair.
Anything else
I'm happy, I think.
Is anything else you want to tell us about Andy or add in? Or?
Another wee thing I'd like to finish off.
Aye.
Mental health.
Definitely. I was going to ask you about that. Yes.
Mental health.
Glad you brought it up.
9 years ago, I wasn't good with mental health.
Right.
And it's through some of the things, folks stealing off me, leaving robins lying about. And one go with cryptosporidium in the calves. It all just built on the top. And I never thought for 1 minute the kind of creator was that I would ever be bothered with mental health. Well, if anyone's ever listening to this, the best thing you can do, as far as I'm concerned, is talk to folk. Talk to your wife or your partner or your son or your folk you're friendly with. Don't keep it to yourself. Well, when I seen it, and I kent myself when it happened, the only thing that's going to cure this is going to be me.
Yeah.
And I tried 20 different folk to go to, it never made one bit of difference. But I eventually went to my daughter's there in Canada. We were away for a month, stayed there for a month, and I was on antidepressant tablets and I was in sleep. One of the worst things, I couldn't sleep.
You know, I'll see
I
that.
could not sleep. I was up through the night looking out the window to see if one was stealing on, and it was a hell. That was worse. That was worse than the mental health bit. Mm-hmm. I could not get sleeping. Well, I went to Canada, and my son-in-law Alan, he goes went to a wee 35 tractor, and it was a great weather light, and I'm out on this harrying and on this 35 tractor, and I come in about 9 days after I was there, and I said to Mary, I says, no, I wouldn't advise women to do this, but see the antidepressant tablet, I'm not wanting any more of they. Oh no, she says, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. Mary says,
Yeah.
I know I'm doing that. I'm not wanting any more of they. That's the last. But I wouldn't advise that. If somebody's on it and the doctor said they wanted to go on it, I felt that get much better, but I could not sleep. So I kept going with the sleeping pills, and it definitely helped me to sleep. And then I got back home, and it wasn't directly when I got back home, but I eventually grew out it. And at the present moment, touch wood, I feel fine. But folk think that if you eat something like that, you'll never be right again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can when folk ask you, how you feeling? And the amount of times folk ask you, but as far as I'm concerned, it's no to have had it. You should say anything about it.
Aye.
And it could happen to anybody.
Aye.
You know?
Aye, and it's good, like, it probably is good though that folk ask you all the time, do you not feel it's good that folk ask you all the time?
I don't mind. But there is a wee stigma there thinking, this nice, but if you're never going to get rid of it.
Well,
at present moment, I would say, last week in a year, I could say I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me, like.
Aye.
But see, when I had it, I wouldn't have wished it on anybody.
Well, here's the thing for you, Andy, just so my first getting to know you was through Muirkirk show.
Right.
And it was at Muirkirk show. I really like Muirkirk show because I just love the folk in Muirkirk. Like you say, like something about Muirkirk is just really, really special. It is just a great place. And it was you tossing the sheath and winning it by miles. And this is only 6 or 7 years ago. You'd be late 60s, like, and just.
Must not be only else thrown at that day.
No, hey, I was trying bloody hard to beat you, don't worry. But it was one of the shows over the years that I've going to, and it was somebody had said, one of the boys had talked about how the fact that you'd struggle with depression.
Yeah.
And kind of feeling I got for it was that folk were like, it meant a lot that somebody like you, a big character, you know, and somebody that you might know what a lot of the boys look up to you who are in Muirkirk there. The fact that you had depression and you spoke about it and it was open, I could feel it made it more of a thing.
Acceptable.
Yeah.
It was almost acceptable. Like, we can talk about it. We were sitting having a chat about it, that if Andy can get it, any of us could get it.
Yeah.
You know, because you're on here telling jokes and laughing and all that. But they always say, Robin Williams is always the example folk looked at. He was telling a joke and all that, and then you didn't realise he was suffering with depression. Yeah. So like you speaking about that there, I think it's fantastic.
But I think that's so important. I think that is,
Well, it's just something I've had, and I know myself how I felt.
Aye.
And if I was talking to like Mary or other folk, and I'm not right here in this carry on. But it's a thing you can grow out of, like. Aye. You know?
Aye.
And it's because of these things. That's why I'm dead against folks stealing off other. That guy must not think in the morning when I go out and my bike's away, I'll have to try and get another bike somewhere.
He just thinks all the insurance will get it. He just thinks about the fact somebody's been on your firm.
But that guy's away with that bike, no thinking, that boy's going to need that bike in the morning, like.
Aye.
You know?
Yeah. And the stress that comes with it.
I'm dead against that kind of thing, like.
And just probably a good public message to put out there is, if one of your relatives is seen out at 2 o'clock in the morning in their wife fronts with a shotgun, there could be mental health issues there. So definitely worth. Is that fair to say? That's the time to step in. Send them to Canada or whatever.
Get them out of here.
That's what you know. Andy, honestly, Amazing. Great to chat to you. You're just
so good.
a great role model for so many folk, honestly. And I mean that when I tell you what the boys at Muirkirk like. I could really feel it with them, is that it means a lot to them that you're open about it and they could talk about it so openly. So it just, because you'll look into things they say when you're not there.
Oh, that'll be right.
But that was one of the nice things. The rest of it I couldn't tell you because it was hell. That was one.
I could believe.
That was the one nice thing. That was the one nice thing. But it means a lot to everybody in that community, like, because it means they can talk about it.
I'm in a good area. I know that myself. That's been for a while.
And that's why they ask you all the time, because they actually do care.
Aye.
Ken, that's the thing.
Oh, that'll be right. I can appreciate that too, like.
Aye.
Aye.
It's a good thing. Yeah. But you've been an absolute gentleman.
No, thanks for asking me that.
Oh, folk are going to love this.
I just hope it works out well. And I don't get a chat on the door with the police that say, hey, you're the way in, son.
Aye.
That's one thing I haven't done yet. I haven't been in jail yet, but we're working on it.
You've dodged it. Touch wood. So far, you've dodged it so far. Some man. No, Andy, thanks very much again for coming in. You're a bloody legend.
Well, I just hope it turns out all right for his life.
It will.
100%.
Good.
Thanks,
Good man.
Andy.
Thank you. And we're back. Iona's still recovering from some of those stories there. He is, he's some man.
It's so funny.
I don't even know what to say.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's lived a life.
Sorry for all the names I mentioned and slagged off. Glenn, if you're watching, if you have that shotgun, can you please give it?
Return.
Yeah, just put it back now.
Yeah.
I think he would laugh about it.
Oh, he definitely. Surely.
Yeah, whatever one of you farmers at Muirkirk has got it, just I think they could laugh about it now.
Yeah, it's been long enough.
It's
Dust is settled.
Be fine. So no, and thanks to Andy as well for talking about mental health.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, big respect to him.
I'd planned before the podcast to ask him about that because I knew about it, and one of the great things about Andy is he doesn't keep it a secret. But then we're having such a laugh.
I know, and it's difficult to know. Yeah, but maybe is that the problem? Well, no, this is different because you're in front of a camera. You know,
well, it's not even that. It's just it's flowing so good, and you're having laughs and good.
Yeah,
like I don't know how much it's going to affect Andy to talk about it, but he spoke about it like it was no bother.
Yeah.
You know, no bother. He's he's clearly over the worst of that period of his life.
Yeah,
and it's great that he was open with us about it. And I know a lot of people in Muirkirk have spoke to me about it and how, you know, there really is a major respect for him being so open about it.
Definitely.
And there is that thing that, God, if it can affect Andy Woodburn, it can affect any of us.
Yep.
So it's a good time to point out, you know, RSABI, who we do a lot with, and RABI as well, covering England and Wales, do similar things for mental health. We'll put their numbers on the screen. Do give them a shout. Like Andy said, talking to people helps.
Definitely. And I think as well, I've spoken to people who work at RSABI and RABI, and it's a lot of the people who are on the other end of the phone have a sort of farming background as well. So it's like,
right?
it's they've got that understanding of the difficulties you're going through. And obviously, it might not always be farming related, but they've got an understanding there. You're not just talking to, you know, it's not like your GP or somebody who.
What I like about it, your GPs, what I like about the thought of these helplines is, like, I wouldn't tell somebody I know, certainly initially.
Would you not?
No, but like, I think it'd be great to test the water.
Yeah, a stranger.
You know, when you're first starting to think to yourself, is this depression?
Yeah. Yep.
What is this I'm feeling? Just speak to a stranger and just test the water. Maybe they'll know, they'll be trained in some way to listen to your symptoms and talk back.
Pull it out of you a wee bit as well.
Tell you what's actually happening.
I think that's as well. That's confusing, as if you're not feeling quite right, but actually, well, what is it? Is it just?
What, am I just tired? Is it just stress? I mean, I'm under stress like all the time at the moment, and you know, sometimes it's worse than that. Sometimes you get that way, and I've said to you, there's some days where it's like you feel like you can't get a breath.
Yeah.
Do you know? It's like you're like, but it's like you're feeling tight because it's like the pressure,
the stress is so high.
Yeah, all the things we have to do. Money's a big factor just now of things we're trying to do and making it all work. And is it going to work? Taking on more pressure. But I know it's just stress. You know, I know I'm all right up here. Just now, there's always that chance. And that's where if I was starting to think it's too much, speak to a stranger. Yeah. Talk them through your scenario. And that might just be enough for the same, it sounds like you're suffering from a bit of depression there. Go and speak to the GP, or go and speak to the wife or your partner or someone, and at least you can say, listen, I've done this.
Yep,
Here's
you're
what they
taking
think.
action.
Let's move somewhere with it. So no, we can't speak enough about that. And
Yeah,
thank Andy
absolutely.
enough for bringing it up. On that note, let's just end by thinking about Andy and his wife fronts, just to lift the mood a little bit.
Could we get a picture
Just to
for the YouTube?
I think we could Photoshop something.
Get Al's on it.
Aye, we could definitely Photoshop something in there of a reenactment. We could do a reenactment of Andy chasing the guy in his wife fronts. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks very much for listening. I am incapacitated with a hernia operation at the moment, but we should be back with more podcasts next week. Something from our States visit. Anyway, I've been Cammy.
I've been Iona.
And we're both fed
Fed
by farmers.